Hello, welcome to US News, New News. Today I will take you to UNC-Oregon was a beautiful disaster that was thrilling, unwatchable and heartbreaking. Woof. That's all you can really say about the Oregon-North Carolina national semifinal in Phoenix, if you wanted to say anything at all, thus risking the chance of retaining the smallest memory from a game everybody will hope to forget. How can a 77-76 Final Four game involving the ACC and Pac-12 champions, one a number 1 seed and one of the most storied programs in college basketball history and the other a thrill-a-minute squad with a handful of stars, be such a dog? How could a game that came down to the final seconds and was tight for the final 5 minutes be so horrific to watch? It should have come with a TVMA tag. Was it UNC, up 1 point, missing 4 free throws in the final 6 seconds? Was it Oregon, down 1 point, failing to rebound 2 of those free throws in the final seconds? Was it Jordan Bell, who had been so great off the glass in Oregon's defeat of Kansas last week and was so again on Saturday, literally failing to touch anybody on those 2 missed free throws, treating the most crucial defensive rebound of his life like he was lined up alone in the final seconds of a 15-point loss, and then doing the same exact thing 1 minute later? Was it an officiating crew that featured everybody's least favorite referee, Ted Valentine, clogging up the game with ridiculous whistles, ticky-tack fouls that disqualified star players and actions that suggested they believed the 77,000 fans in Phoenix were there to see them? Was it Oregon starting the second half 2-16 from beyond the arc? Was it Theo Pinson missing layup after layup, like an overzealous third grader in a layup line? Was it both teams combining to shoot 0-11 from the field between down the stretch and only breaking the streak on a ridiculous shot that hit the front of the rim, somehow bounced backward, sat on the base of the rim for what seemed like an eternity and then dropped into the basket, defying the laws of Naismith's basketball and Newton's motion with one flick of the wrist? Was it all the mishandling, bad passing, fumbling, recklessness and out-of-control play? Was it North Carolina begging Oregon to saunter into Monday night's title game against Gonzaga and the Ducks bravely staying in the game then, in the final 3 minutes, declining the invite by bricking shots that would have cut the lead to 1 possession, playing butterfingers with the basketball and diving around the court like the game was being held on a hockey rink? Was it the fact that after all of that, Oregon playing great defense on a Carolina possession, didn't panic by looking for a game-trying three-pointer, made a beautiful pass with 6.4 seconds left to cut UNC's lead to 1, had those final 6.4 seconds play out as if they were writing a script and then, as mentioned above, failed to even attempt a box out on 2 missed Tar Heel free throws? Was it how much agony Oregon was in after the game with young men, kids really, in tears, fully cognizant of the game they just let slip away, then handling it like the professionals they aren't in the post-game press conference, as Bell did by saying this is going to hurt forever? Or was it the question North Carolina players, coaches and fans have to be asking themselves, after failing to close on Saturday, what's going to happen on Monday night when you, the mighty ACC Blue Blood, are playing a school nobody had heard of 20 years ago that'll run you out of the gym if they catch a whiff of the stench from the semifinals victory non-defeat? Final Four previews and predictions. It's North Carolina's title to lose. The Final Four tips off Saturday night in Phoenix. Which team will be cutting down the nets 2 nights later? Could it be the upstart Gamecocks of South Carolina? The anti-mid-major, Gonzaga? Oregon? Blue-blooded North Carolina? We preview college basketball's greatest weekend. Number 1 Gonzaga versus number 7 South Carolina, Saturday, 6:09 p.m. ET. Whatever you want to call South Carolina, Cinderella, underdogs, the guys who play for that garishly dressed, pitbull-loving softie at heart coach named Frank, they're a legit threat to make the final. Gonzaga, probably the most complete team in the country right now, entered the tournament with questions about how it would fare in a tough battle that came down to the final seconds, a la Kentucky in 2014, but ended all speculation with gutsy wins over Northwestern and West Virginia. This could be an ugly one. Hide the children ugly. The Zags and Gamecocks are nos. 1 and 2 in KenPom defensive efficiency rankings. Both defend the three exceptionally well. Both are ineffective at shooting the three. Throw in the usual early jitters that plague Final Four games and whatever the debated stadium shooting effect has on things, and this one could struggle to get into the 60s. As South Carolina goes, so does sign Darius Thornwell, at least in the tournament. The senior is only the third player from a team seeded number 6 or higher to lead his team to the Final Four while averaging 25.0 points per game and is carrying the team's offensive load on his back. But prolific scoring nights didn't always help SC's bottom line in the regular season. Of Thornwell's 5 highest scoring games this year, the team lost 3. Mike Gonzaga's best bet might be to let Thornwell get his and rely on someone else to pick up the slack. Offensively, Mark Few's strategy seems clear. Pound it into the bigs, take advantage of the size difference and get the foul-happy South Carolina front court into early trouble, all while Nigel Williams-Goss facilitates at the point with his do-it-all mix of dribble drives, jump shooting and assists. Gonzaga isn't the betting favorite to win it all. That would be North Carolina, but KenPom has the Zags at 79% to win this game, compared to 57% for UNC against Oregon. In that case, Gonzaga should be the betting favorite based solely on the fact that it's more likely to play in the final, and the more likely you are to play in the final, the more likely you are to win the final. The madness tends to wane as the calendar flips from March to April. So this is usually the point where we see the basketball turn back into a pumpkin for the little guy as the big boys go play in the championship. I don't know, though. Gonzaga has no experience at this level, and something tells me South Carolina's run isn't quite over yet. Number 1 North Carolina versus number 3 Oregon, Saturday, 8:49 p.m. ET. Before we get to the big game of the night, remember when the ACC got one team into the Sweet 16 while the Big Ten, whose teams went 5-2 in the first round, SEC, Pac-12 and Big 12 all got 3, and this was supposed to be a sign that the consensus best conference in the country was somehow overrated. 2017 Final Four bids, by conference. ACC, 1. Pac-12 to 1. SEC, 1. WCC, 1. What does it all mean? What kind of conclusions can you draw from these results? The same as you could from those of the first weekend, zippy. The only thing the ACC's early struggles proved was that the ACC had early struggles. It was for a mix of reasons, including bad play, bad matchups and the fact that narratives are fun to construct. It's far more enjoyable to say Coach K's teams are flaming out of the tournament earlier and earlier rather than to say one-and-done events are unpredictable, and it's amazing that losses, like the one to South Carolina, didn't start happening until about 5 years ago. Carolina is a 5-point favorite over the triple-headed threat of Dillon Brooks, Tyler Dorsey and rebound machine Jordan Bell in another game pitting teams with similar strengths. Both Carolina and Oregon are good near the boards, with the Heels excelling at offensive rebounding and the Ducks at blocking shots. They rank number 1 in those respective categories in all of Division I. Of course, Oregon is in the Final Four mostly on the strength of both those skills, using Bell's inside power to defeat Kansas in the Elite Eight. The most important items on the floor will be the right and left ankles of Joel Berry. If the Heels star guard, who injured one ankle on the first weekend and the other ankle last weekend, is spry and painless enough to play like he did against Butler, 8 for 13 shooting, 26 points, rather than Arkansas, 2 for 13, 10 points, then Carolina will be tough to beat. And if Luke May, the one-time walk-on who reached double digits 3 times during the regular season but has already hit that total in 3 of the 4 tournament games, can keep doing his thing, Then watch out, Eugene. Experience matters in the Final Four, and every sort of stat, though without a large sample size, supports this. Debut teams don't do well, debut coaches do worse, etc. When you hear talk about past Final Four experience, it's completely irrelevant when a specific team or coach is new to the stage. Yeah, Oregon played in 1939, but were Dana Altman, Dylan Brooks and Tyler Dorsey around for that? Carolina was one shot from winning last year's national championship. That's the only experience that matters, and it'll help the Tar Heels in a tight one on Saturday night. Many thanks for watching our channel video. If you see or click the subscribe button and share to support yourself offline. Thank you and see you in the next newsletter. Bye bye.